James Farr here, live from Pasadena Media Studios. Get ready for more piercing and provocative Conversation Live starts now. And welcome to the Conversation Live. The Conversation Live focuses on social justice, restorative justice, inclusion, and equality. Today we're going to unpack and have a very critical and uncomfortable conversation. This week on the Conversation Live, Cardia Pinckney and Stefan Taylor, both financial investment advisors, are in the seat. Check this out. If the college cheating scandal has reinforced anything, it's that one of the primary advantages of the wealthy is that the wealthy can buy more advantages. This helps explain why African Americans who have historically been denied wealth lag in almost every category of society behind whites, who have long benefited from capital extracted from black labor and culture. It also helps explain why, despite the booming U.S. economy that is nearly fully at employment capacity, a gigantic racial wealth gap remains. On average, white households have nearly 6.5 times the wealth as black households. Let's take a look at this clip and then we'll welcome in our guests.
So if you're like most Americans, you probably say to yourself all the time, systemic racism, is that really a thing? Did you know that in 2010, black Americans made up 13% of the population, but only had 2.7% of the country's wealth? That the median net worth for a white family was $134,000, but the median net worth for a Hispanic family was $14,000, and for black Americans it was $11,000. Know that the median wealth for a single white woman has been measured at $41,000, but for a Hispanic woman it was $140, and for a black woman $120. Did you know that? Do you know what that's called? That's called systemic racism. And yes, it's really a thing.
And welcome back, guys. Man, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedules today. You know, I've been looking forward to having both of you here on the program, on the Conversation Live. You're both investment advisors. I know time is money, and money is time, and you guys help people make money all the time. That's kind of what you do, right?
That's right.
Okay, so Cardia, what I'm really trying to understand is we saw some of these wealth gap disparities. Why can't we close the gap in terms of income inequality and wealth building within the African American community compared to the white counterparts?
Man, you started with a loaded question. You know that, right?
Well, give me a loaded answer.
You know, it's why can't we close the gap? It's just, that is such a convoluted, it has layers to it. But the first thing I have to tell everybody is we have to first look at, people think we're colorblind. Yeah, we are, but we need to be color bold. Because we have to start really understanding that there is a discrepancy between what is being taught to us and what is not being taught to us. So the wealth gap continues because we don't know what we don't know. So we're going to continue passing that on to our families. So if our families only know to go to work, get a job, and pay the bills, and then start all over again, that's all they're teaching us because that's all we see. So the wealth gap will keep continually widening if we're not taught all the different things that goes in between that.
Steph, what say you about that?
What say I? The question is loaded. The answer is true. We will never close the gap if we don't get involved. There's a huge disparity in the way we see money, the way we act from a psychological standpoint, and the way we're slow to the race. So to be behind and then show up late because of past fears, current apprehension, or whatever else is getting in the way between a conversation between you and the nearest advisor is what's really keeping us from closing the gap.
Yeah. According to some research and a study that I read, it looked at, if you go back to 1962 and you take out race, and you look at the income inequality, that study said that it would take 257 years for African Americans to catch up. So this kind of just taking out the systemic issues, just whatever. So when you know, Cardia, when you're working with new families, African American families. And we're going to get to, later on some ways to build wealth. But when you're working, what are some of the first things that you hear? Why aren't they eager to come to the table? Why aren't we having these conversations at the kitchen table?
The first thing the first thing I usually hear is, "Oh, we don't talk about that."
Why?
We don't talk about that. It's rude to talk about money. We don't discuss our laundry out in the street. I don't know you. So that's like the first thing that I hear. But what I realize, the first question I always ask people is, tell me, how do you feel about money? What is your relationship with money? Because then that tells me how I need to really work with them and helping them to get a better understanding of it. Because a lot of times we've been told a myth about money. Money's bad. Only wealthy people have money, and if they do, you're a certain way. So when I'm meeting with someone new, and I just got to find out, what is your relationship with money? Because some people have a fear of it. Some people have a love of it. Some people have a disdain to where they're like, I don't even want to talk about it. But they know that they need it. They just try to figure out how to sweep it under the rug or act as if it's not even there. Mm-hmm. So it's really asking that question. Tell me about your relationship with money. How do you feel about it? And
what do some of your clients say, Steph? What do they tell you their relationship is with money?
Most of my clients think they're living from paycheck to paycheck. The lion's share, when we actually go through a budget, there's a surplus left over. Because now we've taken the time to go through what comes in, what goes out, and if we were to stick to that plan, just based on the bills that you showed me, the person who gets your money first after Uncle Sam, there's a surplus. So now we have to do some exploratory work to find out where the rest of the money is going. And oftentimes, James, it's going to, well, I help my mom with this, or I have my little brother that, or I have 3 kids myself, so I understand soccer costs, and it's not something that you budget for every month. But what we realize after we do that exploration is that there is opportunity there.
And then, so what are some of the vehicles, or how do you help guide somebody now that they finally, all right, man, I'm in my 40s, I need to start saving if I haven't already started saving. Is it too late to start saving? How does that conversation work with people?
There's always a vehicle.
And I'm speaking in the culture now. I know you guys deal with everyone.
Yep.
But I'm talking about within the culture.
Absolutely. The budget determines what we're able to do. And if it boils down to a $20 life insurance policy that you're sacrificing so that your son or daughter has a leg up in 20, 30, 50 years when you do pass on, because we all die, right? Now you've left a legacy for someone else, so it isn't your investment, but it's an investment in your child's future, right? At a small price point or a bearable price point, all the way up to a mutual fund, a Roth. People know what a Roth IRA is. Put more money into your 401k, understanding that if your company is matching your 401k, you should get at least the match so that there's some free money or additional money going into your personal savings. These small tweaks put you in a position to where if you're 40 and we look at the retirement age being 67, not 65, also another misconception, we're uninformed.
That's a Social Security thing.
Right.
I don't want to get that deep into the weeds on that, but that is a big difference in terms of what you draw down. Yeah.
2 years and 72 if we're talking Social Security, but those 2 years and 27 years if you're 40, you have an opportunity to do wonderful things with $20.
But so Cardi, you're sitting down with somebody, they like, you just gonna make money off of me. So what is the difference between a fee-based planner versus, a commission-based? Maybe some people just don't understand it, and they kind of may just have some general mistrust coming into the conversation with you.
And to really segue for what he was just saying, a lot of times it's really important to sit down and do a complete financial game plan, a financial plan, to see exactly where individuals are and to find out where they want to go, because they need a roadmap. Just like people won't get in a car and go to a place they've never been before and just start driving.
Gotta use Waze.
At least. If you don't even put it in Waze, you gotta figure it out, or you're just gonna be driving aimlessly trying to get to a destination that you hope to get to. So having a financial game plan so you know exactly step by step of what you need to do to get there is what people really need first and foremost. Now, to talk about the difference between a fee advisor versus commission, it really comes down to the actual service that you're getting. you know, because when you're paying for value, you're needing someone that's working with you consistently, doing some things, building that house. It's like having a contractor, you know, that contractor is paid to be there to make sure that all the different pieces are in place to build that house. Now, if you're paying just a commission, which isn't bad, but you're paying a transaction fee, that's all that is. You're making that transaction and it's done. Okay, versus having someone there continually working with you saying, okay, hey, this is where we are. We need to make a little deviation because you kind of got off track. That's what that fee is for. So there's a difference. Now, who is it good for? It just depends. It changes with people and where they are.
I mean, because when you think about it, like coaching is big right now in many different areas. I mean, you can get a speaking coach, you can get a writing coach, you can get a coach for your physical training, right? I mean, are either of you kind of in that space where it's much more educational first and then holding the person accountable to certain things and disciplines that will help them get down the road? Or do you do it for them? Because some people may want to be hands off and like, can you just manage it for me? Is that how you roll?
It's a unique balance, James, because my passion is coaching and mentoring. And a mentor of mine, George Fraser, says we must educate before we transact. There are people who want to be told what to do, and in my book of business and the way that I approach what we do, that's not the client for me, because I don't like to be told what to do. And so oftentimes the platinum rule says give the person what they want, where the golden rule, well, we know it. But in this situation, I would much rather coach you, mentor you, tweak you, make those small adjustments over time, be it for a fee or on the strength until you're able to afford the fee. So that we position you to be in the place you want to be at the end of that roadmap.
Let me check in real quick. You're watching The Conversation Live. The Conversation Live focuses on social justice, restorative justice, inclusion, and equality. My guest today is Cardia Pinckney and Steph Taylor, and they're both investment advisors, and we're talking about some of the inequalities and wealth and income between blacks and versus whites. And I know one of the things that certainly destroys black wealth is the lack of estate planning. And I got a little bit of personal experience in that myself. So when we look at, you know, this lack of estate planning, you know, so if it's taboo to talk about finances in the culture, in some respects, in some circles, well, death is certainly something that you don't talk about, and what that looks like. And Chris Rock famously said, white people leave a will, blacks leave a bill. How does the lack of estate planning, Cardia, what's the impact on the wealth gaps?
That's what causes the wealth gap for generations to come. Because, like you said, you leave a bill. And it is already devastating when you have a loved one that passes away. But then there's a bill that's compiled on top of that. And then in the event they have some assets, heaven forbid, they have a house, you know, they actually have a house, a real asset, a tangible asset. They have some stocks and investments, they have mutual funds. They have all these things that maybe didn't have beneficiaries. They have some credit card debt. Now, without a will, without a living trust, all of that becomes probate. And the great, fantastic big brother of, you know, the government comes in and tells your family now what they need to do and how to do it. And then they charge them on top of that. So now, not only are you going through grieving, your loved one is gone. Now you're in debt because now you got to figure out how you're going to pay off this funeral. Now you got a reminder that, man, my mom just died, you know, and you're still paying off her funeral 5 years from now. And then on top of that, you have the probate court saying to you, hey, this is how we're going to make sure that you handle this money. You like it or not.
Some people may not know, you know, an out-of-pocket cost for a funeral could run you easily
$20,000.
Easily.
Easily.
And we ain't even fried no chicken yet.
Well, my wife said it's got to be baked for mine.
You know,
I disagree. It will be fried.
You won't know.
Right. You won't care.
Well, here's the difference, right? If I can answer the question,
please.
I will know because I have an estate plan. And so in your estate plan, what it does is it allows you to have control beyond your living years. Your estate plan, which includes your will, your trust, and to a certain extent, depending on the person, the order of your service. So now you've laid out a plan to where there will be fried and grilled chicken at my funeral so that I can have those who are health conscious have something different, and then those who are from the South, like me.
Well, the biggest thing also, we've seen it recently with Michael Jackson, we've seen it with Prince. You know, these huge, amazing icons that we thought had everything together.
Right.
They didn't. and they had more to lose. Not saying that what everyday people have is less than what they have. It's all relative. But if they didn't have it in place, look at the turmoil that their families and everything are going through. Michael Jackson estate is still going through probate right now.
Right.
And he's been gone for what, 10 years?
Right.
So we have to understand and have that conversation, because again, you don't know what you don't know. You know, we're taught in our community, oh yeah, I know I need a will. Oh, honey, it's more deeper than just having a will. Mm-hmm. It's really understanding and figuring out what that means. Giving, like you said, talking from the grave.
Right.
You're controlling everything.
Right.
Mom still has it all together. Yep,
Right.
she does.
Right.
And it separates, you know, I always tell my clients this, you're protecting your family from themselves.
Right. And one more point, as I know we have short on time, but it's the sweetest taboo. When we don't do it, it ends up so wrong.
Yeah.
And people talk about, I'm not leaving anything. Like, I don't want to leave them nothing, right? I don't care about a legacy. The reality is that you are leaving them something by leaving them nothing. And the cost of an attorney is a fraction, almost like the fractions we saw in the opening segment, to the cost of probate. So make the sacrifice for the next generation so that not only do they know what to do, but you don't burden them with picking up those pieces.
Man, because I tell you, I mean, having had personal experience in this space, it is grief is one thing,
Right.
and you will experience. I mean, and everybody experiences it differently. But yeah, when you still have that bill,
Right.
you
It's a
know,
reminder.
And they don't care about your grief.
no,
I need that right now.
right now,
Before you get to the funeral home.
While we going on home to glory, we look like
I should go with you because I can't pay this.
Thank you.
All right, man, you're watching The Conversation Live. The Conversation Live focuses on social justice, restorative justice, inclusion, and equality. And we're having a conversation with Cardia Pinkney and Steph Taylor, and we're talking about some of the inequalities in wealth between blacks and whites and some of the systemic reasons that have kind of at the issue there. But I do find some optimism in this next segment.
Sure.
You know, recently, the culture lost an icon and who had not fully reached his potential. And I'm talking about Nipsey Hussle. And I'm refreshed, I'm pleased to see, you know, that they're turning down GoFundMe accounts. You know, we got this. You know, that he took the time to set up trust in the States, but I also want to look a little bit more into what his impact was. So let's go ahead and cue up the next clip, and then we'll come back in with our guests.
Wealthy to the level that it's not gonna go away, and that, you know, we create a situation that it lasts longer than us.
I could have bought a Lamborghini, but I invested in land. Cause the OG always told me, they buy new jewelry, they buy new cars, they don't make new land.
I thought that was interesting because, you know, we've seen some of the examples that our Nipsey Hussle has done, you know, in terms of buying the block back. And so I didn't want to just leave it, you know, this entire conversation with what we aren't doing, what we haven't done. I wanted to look at some examples of what can be done. So I'm really looking at group economics. So when I was talking to you guys earlier, you know, that all money in, no money out, you know, that's his idea of what basically would be group economics. Right. And so what advice, you know, would you have, Steph, for somebody in their 30s starting out right now? You know, because I see more synergy in the community, and I don't know if it's a trend right now or if people are kind of in an emotion.
Right.
But what's a first good step in terms of building wealth and economics?
Absolutely. I think you have to start with protection. Again, you have foundation. We talked about foundation. There's a pyramid, just like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where you need to set a even level of protection so that all of your insurance needs are covered. From health insurance, life insurance, homeowners insurance, something bad happens prematurely, somebody else pays the bill. The next thing you need to do is evaluate what your employer rather provides so that you're maximizing those things that are available. For the 7% that still have a pension, hooray. For the 93% who have a 401k, contribute. For those who are able to then get into some of the more complex things, starting at a $250, you know, buy-in on a mutual fund, start there and then contribute $20, $40, $50 a month as you're able to. Build blocks as you're building the block. Make sure your life insurance is taken care of because, you know, like Nipsey said, he put $1 million on his flesh. And if you die prematurely, it doesn't matter what type of insurance it is. It matters the dollar amount and how much it's able to do. But build.
So Cardi, I mean, is what what a lot of kids, and you work with kids, you guys are showing them pathways. Can I mention Ideal Youth? Okay, you work with Ideal Youth, and a great program here in our city that, from what I understand, has put thousands of dollars into the pockets of young people. I don't want to get into specifics, but thousands of dollars through workforce training, experiential training, mentorships, and internships. Are you guys guiding those kids, those young people, more into, go to college, get a job, or are you teaching them entrepreneurial skills?
Okay. So
Put thousands of dollars into the pockets of young people. I don't want to get into specifics, but thousands of dollars through workforce training. Are you guys guiding those kids, those young people, more into, go to college, get a job, or are you teaching them entrepreneurial skills?
okay. So
Put thousands of young people, I don't want to get into specifics, but thousands of dollars through workforce training. Are you guys guiding those kids, those young people, more into, go to college, get a job, or are you teaching them entrepreneurial skills?
okay. So
Put thousands of young people, I don't want to get into specifics, but thousands of dollars through workforce training. Are you guys guiding those kids, those young people, more into, go to college, get a job, or are you teaching them entrepreneurial? Put thousands of young people, I don't want to get into specifics, but thousands of dollars through workforce training. Are you guys guiding those kids, those young people, more into, go to college, get a job, or are you teaching them entrepreneurial? I don't want to get into specifics, but thousands of dollars through workforce training. Young people more into, go to college, get a job, or are you teaching them entrepreneurship? I don't want to get into specifics, but thousands of dollars through young people more into, go to college, get a job, or are you teaching them entrepreneurship? Through young people more into, go to college, get a job, or are you teaching them entrepreneurship? Through young people more into, go to college, get a job, or are you teaching them entrepreneurship? Through young people more into, go to college, get a job, or are you teaching them entrepreneurship? Through young people more into, go to college, get a job, or are you teaching them entrepreneurship? Through young people more into, go to college, get a job, or are you teaching them entrepreneurship? Through young people more into, go to college, get a job, or are you teaching them entrepreneurship? through young people more into job, or are you teaching them entrepreneurship? Through young people more into job, or are you teaching them entrepreneurship? Through through